What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Man, oh man, I got a bucket list guest today, and Dale Crover of the Melvins, y'all. And for those of you that know, Dale has pounded his way to a super definitive sound, feel, and overall presence on the drums over the last 30 years with the Melvins, which has been an incredible thing to witness. But as a guy who gets brought up as a major influence to so many drummers I've spoken to, and in looking at how influential the Melvins have been to so many bands, this was a must-have conversation, so I'm super psyched on this one. But I was able to catch up with Dale while the Melvins were touring for their new record, Pinkus Abortion Technician, out now on Ipecac Records. And we got into all sorts of good stuff, including what not to eat prior to a show, the Melvins' first tour in Europe. I had a few questions that I wanted to ask him about connections to, obviously, the grunge movement, and then another one that I think fewer people possibly know about, which is some of the bands down in New Orleans, like Shell Shock, Slugs, Crowbar, and I Hate God, and their influence and connection to those bands. Plus the Honkey, Butthole Surfers, and Big Business connection. Captain Beefheart is an influence, 50 Cent drum lessons, and Carmine Appice's words of wisdom. Plus a whole lot more. We even got into a little bit about Keith Moon, the original bizarro drummer, I must say. Sponsor time. If you're looking to release vinyl for your project, look no further than NewOrleansRecordPress.com, the first independently owned and operated full-scale vinyl pressing facility in the city. Get real-time quotes for the mini vinyl coloring and pattern options, as well as packaging, printing, mastering, and all that good stuff. NewOrleansRecordPress.com. Get on over there and tell them Crash Bang Boom sent you. They got a quicker turnaround time than anywhere else, at least for now. In any case, the one, the only, the thunder, the bombast. Dale Crover, ladies and gentlemen. Crash Bang Boom.
Crowds go mad with joy. Get the drummer.
Holy moly, Dale Crover, what's happening, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. We're here in Brooklyn at the Warsaw, hanging out, getting ready to do sound check.
Yeah, man. Have you eaten any Polish food while you've been in this neighborhood by any chance?
Yeah, but I'm sure I will tonight.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that before a gig. It's mighty dense.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not the best.
Well, I always make that mistake anyway, of like eating too much before a gig. Not always, but I've at least kind of remembered to not have pizza before you play.
Right.
That's always the worst.
Right. I think just heavy carbs, like pizza, pasta, anything. Pizza would probably be the worst. Also, because maybe acidity.
Exactly.
Of the yeah.
I know. Or onions. It's always fun to taste onions in your mouth when you're playing drums and then trying to sing.
Well, y'all are amidst a pretty good run, man. 50 or so dates spread out over a series of weeks.
Yeah, it's like 14 weeks total, but then there's some breaks in between.
Yeah.
There's 2 5-week U.S. tours, and then there's like a 4-week run in Europe in the fall.
Nice.
So usually we do about 3 months out of the year touring.
How long have y'all been going to Europe?
I think our first time there was 90.
Wow.
90 or 91.
Really?
Yeah, maybe it was 91 because it was right at the beginning of January. So I think that's when it was, yeah.
Do you remember your first European gig with the Melvins?
Yeah, it was in London. I can't remember what the club was called, but I remember being super jet lagged.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since we'd never been there before, we showed up. I think we got in at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Got to our hotel probably about 10 after going through customs and having a long bus ride.
Yeah.
And then going to sleep and waking up at 10 in the morning or 10 in the evening and just going, oh, I'm wide awake. And there's nothing open. There's
Exactly.
nothing to do.
Exactly.
There's only 3 stations on TV.
Wow. Would that have been for the Houdini record in 90?
No. I think we had Ozma out and Bullhead was about to come out.
Gotcha. Bullhead came out officially in 91, I think
so.
early 91,
yeah,
something
I think,
like that.
I don't know if it was quite out, but I know that when we went to Germany, we played the London show and then went to Germany and played like our first show in Cologne, and that was great. It was like sold out.
Awesome.
But we did some press around then, and some of the German press people had an advanced copy of Bullhead, and they're like, "Now, why have you guys sold out?" So we sold out. Oh.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. It's a recurring theme when I talk to bands that have been to German, the sort of stoic and at times brutally honest and borderline awkward interactions that one can have with the Germans.
It's just the cultural differences, I guess.
That's a great way of putting it, man.
Yes, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And they're always very analytical about stuff. Why is it that you do what you do? Why?
Right. Exactly. Well, man, do you recall the how y'all were received that first time going to Europe?
Yeah, it was great. It was really good. Yeah, we did well. I mean, we probably did better there than we did in the U.S. at the time.
I believe it.
Yeah.
That's amazing how that's so crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, also right then, the English press and probably all through Europe were hot on Sub Pop and Mudhoney and anything to do with that whole scene. So and we've always been obviously part of that. So I'm sure that didn't hurt, but I mean, we'd already had a couple records out there.
Exactly.
So, yeah. It was fun.
Speaking of that scene, I was just thinking today. I remember when Bill Maher was on Jeopardy, and they played your song and asked him. This band was accredited with being the forefathers of the grunge movement, and they played the song, and he didn't know what it was.
Oh no, he knew, but he's like, "Oh, that song sucked."
Was that what it was?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. That clip has come up recently. I think somebody found it, and it's like somebody posted it on our Facebook page.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he made Ollie North laugh. It was like Celebrity Jeopardy.
Exactly. It's good stuff. Meanwhile, when they played it, I was like, yes, a Jeopardy answer.
Yeah.
I finally
well,
know.
My favorite part though is that Alex Trebek didn't give him the point because of his answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I didn't realize all this. Okay.
He's like, but I knew what it was. He's like, yeah, but the Melvins wouldn't have appreciated that, so you don't get the point.
That's amazing. Well, what year did y'all move to California from Washington State?
Buzz moved down first. He moved down in, I think, 87 sometime. Okay. Probably like fall of 87, and then I got down there after 88. Probably like January, February, something like that.
It's pretty wild, the timing of it all, that y'all would be pointed as such an influential band to what became ultimately this huge grunge movement.
Right.
And then y'all move, and in the wake of y'all, this massive explosion happens in the state that y'all originated from.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about this yesterday. I mean, there was really nothing going on there. I mean, even with all those bands, there wasn't that many places to play. There were no all-ages shows in Seattle. There was a couple bars you could play, but I mean, I wasn't even 21, so I had to play and get out.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't like, oh, there's this great music scene here, let's move away. I mean, it was just like, we could easily go down to California and the weather's much nicer, and I'm sure we could play shows down there. Probably more places to play.
Right.
And I mean, it didn't really matter because nobody really noticed that we were gone.
Right.
We came back up there and things were much better. So it wasn't. Just saying this yesterday, it wasn't a mistake that we moved away.
Right. I hear you. Well, there's another bizarre offshoot of your influence, and the guys from I Hate God, and in particular Jimmy Bauer. I know I've spoken to him many times about it, and I know he came back from California and had a cassette tape of I believe Gluey Porch Treatments, and made it a point to play it for everyone that he knows. And I've met people that have met him and said, yeah, first guy that ever played me the Melvins was Jimmy Bauer, and it's hilarious. It's as if he imported the Melvins to New Orleans somehow.
Sorta. I mean, our first time down there was on this tour where pretty much everywhere we went besides New Orleans, people hated us.
Right.
That was the one place where people seemed to really like us, and we met these dudes there that were in a band with Jimmy early on called Shell Shock.
Yep.
This guy Greg Hatch and his brother.
Yep.
Hatch Boy.
Yeah.
And those guys came up and talked to us because we had a big mural of Kiss on the side of the van.
Nice.
The famous mural that Kurt Cobain did in Sharpie pen in 1986.
That's amazing. Was that van up for sale on eBay at one point?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
It wasn't in our hands. It was that's another long story.
It's another long story. Okay.
But anyway, so we met those dudes, and then I eventually was roommates with Greg. Shell Shocked. We're going to move out to San Francisco.
Wow.
And the band got about halfway, and then the other guys decided that they didn't want to move to San Francisco and turned around and went back. And Greg was the only one that went forward.
Oh my God, that's funny.
And you know, one of the reasons why he wanted to go out there was because his daughter was there.
Okay.
But anyway, it's through Greg that I met Jimmy, you know, and then Shell Shock went back. They got Kirk. See, Greg was the singer,
right?
And so they went back home. They got Kirk.
Weinstein, who ultimately became Crowbar.
Weinstein.
Yeah.
And then they reformed the band, and then Greg's brother passed away, and then things kind of changed, and
right.
they had a band called the Slugs.
Right, exactly.
And then I think it might have been probably the second time we went back to New Orleans. We played with those guys.
Wow.
And we stayed at Jimmy's house, and yeah, Jimmy was a big fan, and he had he was the first guy we knew with a Melvins tattoo.
That's hilarious.
Right underneath a crawfish. So
amazing. I too have a crawfish tattoo. I didn't realize that.
You got to put Melvins underneath it. It's like a trend, you know.
Oh my! I'm gonna have to do it. It's playing a banjo though, so
I'll
fit. I can put a little.
His
Melvins.
is more jailhouse style.
Okay, yeah. I believe
Back
it.
when tattoos weren't as good.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That's funny, man. And I mean, that's the whole irony of it. I think that both two bands that are associated with sort of what became sludge metal or whatever from the South were absolutely directly influenced by y'all. So that is yet another bizarre strain of influence between Crowbar and I Hate God that ties back to the Melvins.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Y'all are just going around the world and influencing people all over the place, man.
That's what we do.
That is amazing, man. Well, early on, pre Melvins, did you study at all, or you just drumming, of course?
Yeah. No, that was all I studied, really.
Yeah, it was drumming. That makes sense.
I failed everything else.
Right.
Yeah, I had already been playing and played in like school band, and was like kind of self-taught by playing along to records.
Okay.
And there was a college professor at the local community college who offered drum lessons. The school band had like an abnormal amount of drummers. There was like maybe 10.
Oh wow!
You know, which was odd for like a school band. There's usually like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And so I think that our band teacher had talked to this guy and you know told him there's all these drummers, but you know I don't know how to teach him to play because I don't play drums. And so he worked it to where if we would go and pay this dude 50 cents for a lesson, he'd teach us all.
50 cents?
Yeah, So since there was 10, the guy probably figured like, oh man, I'll make $5 working for an hour on a Saturday, it'll be fine.
Wow.
And you know, and he was a good drummer. He was a jazz drummer, and obviously the professor there at the college in the music department. So me and one other kid showed up.
Wow.
You know, and who was like, you know, he was probably the kid, you know, everybody could use lessons, but there was like some people that were like first chair drummers that didn't bother to show up.
Right.
You know? So anyway, the guy was pretty bummed. And then the next week, only I showed up. So he's like, well, this doesn't work. It's not working out like I thought this is going to. I can't really give you lessons for 50 cents. But
yeah,
if you want to do private lessons, I'll do. You know, I can't remember, it was like $5 or $7, something like that.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah. And so that's where I learned rudiments and how to read and all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy.
So yeah, I did lessons with him for maybe 3 years or so.
Yeah,
something like that.
Do you feel that there are aspects in your playing to this day that you've retained from
I use
those?
all the rudiments and stuff, and just
right.
I mean, he was the guy that taught me technique.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, which is definitely can be a quite important thing at times.
And I use all those things. You know, even like how to set up the drums and things like that. You know,
yeah.
Stuff I got from him.
Yeah. One of my buddies, Chris Enriquez, who played with Spotlights, went out with y'all, label mates, Ipecac Recordings. And he said that in touring and playing a bunch of shows, you had actually told him a pretty funny thing, that his cymbals were too loud. And he actually taped some of them to try to calm them down a little bit. Or at least that's what he was thinking. He thought it was funny that might have been a critique, because I was thinking back to seeing you play in your early years, playing huge drums and smashing cymbals.
Did I tell him his cymbals were too loud?
Maybe.
That seems like an odd thing to do.
I said the same thing. Who knows?
Maybe
Maybe you were being
drummers are
sarcastic.
notoriously deaf, and sometimes they think some really weird things. Like I was probably saying, like, yeah, your cymbals are cool. And he's probably, oh, they're too loud? Yeah. No, I don't. Maybe I told them. No, I know what I told them.
Okay.
It wasn't that they're too loud.
Uh-huh.
The cymbals are too high.
Oh,
So that's the thing, getting back to how to set up the drum set.
He was thinking high in volume, I bet.
Eye level.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't want to higher, because if you do, you're going to reach too high.
Yeah.
I met Carmine Appice a couple years ago.
He's awesome.
And he had just had shoulder surgery in both shoulders. And he's like, don't play your cymbals too high. I played my China cymbals up there for all these years, and I ruined my shoulders. I'm playing low.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there you go.
shit, I believe it. If Carmine says it, then I'd say that's enough to follow. That is really funny. I can't wait for Chris to hear
Too
this.
high, not
Yeah.
too loud.
Chris, you fucking goofball. Have there been aspects of your own setup that have changed throughout the years to
a lot.
ergonomically alter
Yeah,
your...
sure. Everything's kind of getting lower.
I bet.
And I mean, for sure, I had bigger drums, so stuff was kind of high.
Yeah. Were you playing a 16 rack tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fucking monster.
At one point, I had an 18. Well, it was before I got my first Tama kit. They gave me a kit that was laying around there, and it's like, you probably like them. They're like, it's like 1820, and I'm like, how am I gonna fucking mount a 18-inch rack tom? So it was ridiculous. I had to have two stands for it.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But everything's gotten smaller and lower, for sure.
Yeah.
Now I've got my kit. Now is 24, 13, 16.
Nice. That's what I'm playing.
Yeah. It's
You can get great sounds out of it.
I kind of decided it was my favorite size.
Yeah.
After playing different sizes for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And then easy to fit in the van.
Exactly.
And then cymbals kind of got smaller too. Stuff kind of got smaller after we did this tour a few years ago with Trevor Dunn, where he's playing stand-up bass. And I'm like, I can't play this giant drum set where he's playing stand-up. I need more of like a jazz sizes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And smaller sticks and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So everything just went smaller, and I just didn't go back.
Look at all these dynamic thoughts you're having about your playing, and after all these years.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Has there been any particular like pain or nagging thing that preceded that, or would have
I don't know.
led to that, or have you been pretty lucky and fairly
I've had
pain-free?
drum injuries before. I suppose the worst thing was pinched nerve.
Oh,
While I was playing.
in your where?
Left side here. And,
Oh, yeah, under your
and it
shoulder
was
blade.
I think it was just like we had a super long practice, and it was
Yeah.
late, and I was tired, and felt something go, and I'm like, I think we better stop.
Oh shit.
And it was right before we had a big, our first gig playing with Jello Biafra on New Year's Eve.
Oh man.
So it was fucked for a while, and that
Yeah.
injury took a long time to heal.
Yeah, I have had literally the same exact thing that I think you're talking about, and I got it from a car wreck from years ago, and
wow.
it's still, and I have a little bit of scoliosis that bends right in between my shoulder blades, so that spot underneath my shoulder blade is what gets me, and it recurs. It's recurring. It's like every year or so it'll start fucking me up.
Yeah.
But hey, it's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah. But that's been the only thing, really.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything's been fine.
Awesome. Influences wise, it sounds like both in form and rudiments, etc. Your early drum instructor was an influence on you. You have had what to my ear sounds almost like a punk rock sort of version of John Bonham, maybe, or something.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
fair
say.
enough to say.
Big drum style, but like a more of a raw intensity to it.
Yeah. I suppose that probably just developed with the band,
That ultimately leads me to my next question. I think the chemistry that you and Buzz have throughout all these years, and particularly on albums like Ozma, the sort of elasticity in the feel of those songs, in contrast to so much music today that's so quantized and triggered and everything else, and is perfectly on a grid.
Right.
Y'all are very much like the antithesis of that. So did that feel and/or approach to music evolve just naturally, or was it like a concept like, hey, let's play these kind of disjointed parts and then
No, I mean, well, even as far as like the slow songs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or
a song like Oven, like on Ozma or Agonizer.
When I joined the band, Buzz was starting to write weird songs like that.
Yeah.
And before that, they were kind of all 4/4. I mean, a lot of them still are 4/4, but they're just have all these weird syncopated parts.
Right.
Or like he'll chop a beat off of one
Right.
measure, and he doesn't know any of this stuff. He doesn't have any musical training at all.
Yeah.
And so this is all just comes from his head and his way of thinking, and taking songs and trying to come up with different methods of playing a song that's not standard, I guess.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Do you feel that your feel and or playing had a noticeable change once you started playing with him and you listened back to those recordings? And I mean, y'all still play some of these songs.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know. I mean, definitely. Yeah, like I said, it developed with the band. You know?
Right.
He would always have good ideas for drum parts too.
Oh, okay.
Especially if I'd play something and he's like, no. I mean, obviously being a songwriter, you most likely hear the drums or what you want in your head.
Yeah.
Not always. Sometimes I'll come up with stuff and it'll make him change it, or it'll be something that he didn't think of that makes it great somehow. So all trial and error.
Yeah, I hear you.
For sure.
Fuck yeah. With writing songs on your end, what gets the percentage of how you introduce the song? Is it on drums or is it on guitar?
Oh, to Melvins?
Yeah.
I do not that many songs because Buzz has so much material. It's so much better. I like concentrating on the drums for this.
Yeah, I hear you.
There is a song on the new record, though, that I came up with, and it was something I had on acoustic guitar.
Okay.
And I did do a solo record right before we tracked this record and then our last record.
Yeah, it came out in 2017, right?
Yeah. We did my solo record, the Melvins Walk with Love and Death record, and the new Pinkus record, all pretty much around the same time.
Damn, that's crazy.
During the same time. So I had this thing left over that for the third record we're working on that we needed songs for. I'm like, hey, I got this thing, and maybe we can use it for something. And then Jeff's like, well, I got this other part. Maybe we can bridge them together, So, and then with that, that was even different because I recorded the guitar first.
Right.
Which we don't usually do it that way.
Yeah.
But since I had the part, I'm like, okay, record this, then put the drums on it, and then Steve put bass, Jeff put banjo, and then Buzz came in last and put guitar on it. So
wow.
Yeah. It's kind of a different way of recording
sure.
stuff, but it's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Make it honest to worry, so you're gonna wake up fucking early. And I know you're gonna be just fine. You're gonna let your tickets wait all time. You got the power to blow her mind. You got the power to blow her mind. Hanging by a thread off of the hook you put her on. Beating up a dead end and you're gone.
With you mentioned Jeff Pinkus, who I know via my friend and mutual friend actually in New Orleans, who both played in Honkey, who you've also played with.
Oh yeah, Bruggen.
Yes, exactly. Hey, Mike Bruggen, what's happening,
Mike Bruggen,
buddy?
What are you doing?
When you played with Honkey, that is a different feel from the Melvins for sure,
for
right?
Sure.
Do you feel like you just tapped into a different part of your brain, or was it just natural?
Oh, I don't know. I like all the same type of stuff they do, and I know where they're coming from.
Right.
Known Honkey for a long time.
Yeah.
And so we had Jeff play with Melvins. That started because our bass player Jared from Big Business was having a kid.
Right
around the time we wanted to tour. So we got Jeff to play with us, and how we got him to play with us was like, hey, we got this Melvins tour coming up, and we wanted to know if Honkey wanted to open.
Yeah.
And what you guys were doing. And it's like, yeah, we'd love to do that. Like, oh, well, good, because we also wanted to see if you'd play bass in the Melvins. And he's like, oh, okay. So, and then we also knew that Bruggen doesn't like to tour that much.
Right.
And so I think that was at the time when he was playing with them, and we just offered, like, I could just play drums for you and we make it easy. And it would be no problem.
I hear you.
And I don't think that he had a problem with that.
Yeah.
At least he never said.
No, he did.
He did. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't.
Yeah. That's funny, man. Well, speaking of Pinkus, and now obviously y'all are doing the double bass thing. We'll get to that. But I had Cody on for an episode as well, and spoke to him briefly, and kind of mentioned the same, or posed a similar question in that. The sort of, given the sort of ebb and flow of the feel of some of these songs, was it hard as another drummer to then lock into these parts that at times seemed, kind of like it was very much built off the chemistry between you and Buzz, and it wasn't like a perfectly straight kind of thing. And he said he would look at you a good bit.
Oh yeah, for sure, to follow. Yeah. Well, even before we got those guys in the band, we've done things where we played with other drummers. At least like we've done it a little bit live in the past, where we'd have somebody in the opening band come and play drums on a song or whatever. Or we also did this thing with Phantomos, which was the Phantomos Melvins big band. So it was me and Dave Lombardo.
Oh my God.
And so I knew it could work.
Right.
You know, and playing with Dave was fun. And yeah, you just watch each other and play together. and so Cody and I would do the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
And after a while, after we were playing together for a few years, it was just so automatic, you know.
Right.
In the beginning, we worked on a lot of like things that we would do together, you know, and just to double up on things because that would be cool, synchronized, the fact that he's left-handed, I'm right-handed, all that stuff. And then after a few records, we were just getting into like playing all these different parts off each other.
Right.
You know? We'd always done that, but I think we got to take it further.
Yeah.
You know, and do that kind of thing, which was really fun.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Whole lot of experimental stuff going on throughout the years, man. Are y'all by any chance fans of Frank Zappa? I only mention that because of the sort of prolific output that you have in experimental nature at times.
I think I'd be a bigger Zappa fan than I am. I like some of that stuff.
Yeah. I like particular periods, very short periods.
Yeah. I mean, there's and certainly I had some of those records growing up too. And I've got like Freak Out and those records.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I always liked them, but it seems like some people are probably a bigger fan of him than I am.
Yeah.
But definitely there's the Beefheart thing
Sure.
and the Melvin stuff for sure. Buzz and I are both big Beefheart fans.
Okay.
And Buzz always says like, kind of like heavy metal Captain Beefheart.
I can see that.
So yeah, maybe so. Those guys are kind of like weirdo desert guys that are kind of into jazz.
Right.
into rock and roll and jazz and,
Yeah.
and just being freaks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely they are.
Yeah. I met Drumbo not that long ago.
Did you really?
About a year or so ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was cool. And it was actually through Joe Wong. He had done, there
cool.
was this thing that I went to that was like this woman had done this whole expose on drummers.
Yeah.
And got to interview everybody, you know, Ringo Starr, from Ringo Starr to me.
Yeah.
And there was a book release party, and Joe did like an interview with a bunch of different drummers, and one of them was on stage was Drumbo.
Oh, cool.
And Jim Keltner was there.
Oh, okay.
And I got to meet both Drumbo and Jim. And Jim seemed to know who I was, which was
bizarre.
Yeah. Maybe he was just being nice, but
Wow.
but yeah, both those guys were really fun to talk to. But when he was interviewing Drumbo, he was telling them how brutal they were to each other in the band, in that they were camped out at some house where they were making a record, and they'd sit there all day playing music and stuff. And one person in the band would always be the guy that would be the guy that they would get.
Oh, really?
You know, and torture.
Oh,
day.
boy.
And he's like, one night I'm there and I'm outside and it's such a beautiful night, and I go back in and I'm like, guys, it's really great outside. And he hears, get him! And then they just attack him. You know?
Really?
So yeah, it sounded like they were just, brutal to each other.
A bunch of savages.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you met Jim Keltner, man, and especially like you said that he knows you. That's wild. But I don't know if you have it or are aware of it, but the live Joe Cocker double album, the Mad Dogs and Englishmen, man, Jim plays on that record, and I've known of Jim. I know that he was with the Wrecking Crew in L.A. with all those other amazing drummers. He's one of those go-to session guys,
Lennon
etc.
records and Dylan records. He might have played on that. I wonder if he played on that Harry Nilsson record, Hello Pussycat or Pussycats.
Oh, he might have.
I think he did.
I wouldn't doubt it for a second. But I tell you what, check out some of the playing on that record. Him live, man, his groove,
cool,
dude, is a badass.
I saw him play with Neil Young and Booker T and the MGs. He was
Awesome.
in that band for.
Whoa.
Yeah.
How was that?
Great.
I bet.
It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, speaking of another drummer that I spoke to, and it ties back to one of the shows that I saw of the Melvins when y'all were doing the double drums thing, is when y'all played with Unsane, and I was talking to Vinny, who nearly died twice. One of which, one of those times was right before going out on a tour with y'all and couldn't do it.
A few days before.
A few days.
Right, and
you and Cody split the difference with Unsane, right?
Yeah. Dave from Unsane was doing sound for us for a long time.
Okay.
And he called like the day before they were coming out, and he's like, Vinny's doing really bad, and he cannot go on this tour. No. And we don't know what to do, and we're just like, I think he probably talked to Buzz, and he's like, well, just get those guys to do it, have them learn your set and play it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, we'll do it. And I'm like, what we could do is Cody will learn a couple songs, I'll learn a couple songs, it'll be easy. And I think we had a day to rehearse and did it.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow. That is awesome.
Did a whole tour, and then Cody went on to go to Europe with Unsane and do Big Business Unsane tour over there and play. So he played the full set.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is badass. Yeah, I'm a fan of Unsane, and I saw them recently, and it was awesome talking to Vinny. He's such a character. Total could not be a more New York Italian dude, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But it was awesome talking to him, and like I said, saw them recently, and they sounded great. But man, he'll walk up to the kit with a cane, put it down, play the set, get back up. You know, he's a hardcore dude. I love him, man.
I'm glad he's doing good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about the double drums, and now obviously y'all are doing double bass. You got Pinkus in the house.
That's right.
I think it's interesting. I love the word play on the record with the Butthole Surfers reference.
Right,
are all the songs on there like word plays on Butthole Surfers songs? Because I saw you said "Don't Move Down to Florida" or whatever.
Oh, stop moving to Florida.
Stop moving to Florida.
That's just we are doing a cover of a James Gang version of the song "Stop."
Okay.
R&B song, and live when we played with Jeff a few years ago, we would do a combination of half that song going into moving to Florida.
Nice.
And so we wanted to record it,
right?
And thought, stop moving to Florida.
There you go.
So, but then there's two Butthole Surfers songs on the record.
Okay.
Originally it was going to be an EP with Jeff.
Yeah.
And that whole title is like our poster guy, or our merch guy, Brian Walsby, does these cartoon drawings, and he'll do album covers, like famous album covers, but turn them into Melvins covers. Like could be us as like the B-52s, or the Misfits, or whatever. Sure. And so that one was one that we had when Jeff was touring with us. It's like, do Butthole Surfers record, Pinkus Abortion Technician.
Right.
Put him in the picture and stuff like that. So that's where that came from, and it just kind of stuck.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's been working out with two bass players?
Yeah, it's been great.
Are the Melvins going to do two guitars at some point?
We have done in the past.
Okay. I didn't know where if y'all had
We did a tour. It's been a long time now. We did a tour called the 2x4 tour. It was 2 sets by 4 guys, and we had an extra guitar player.
Unbelievable.
This guy, Dave Stone, playing with us for a while.
Yeah. That is wild, man. Do you collect vinyl by any chance?
A little bit, but not too much. I've got tons of it, so I don't really buy anything new. I really don't buy on CD or vinyl anymore. Really. If I really want it, maybe on CD, or I used to kind of DJ and have a bunch of vinyl for that, but now if I want to hear something, I'll just get it on iTunes.
I hear you. Yeah. I hear you. It's the way of the world.
I used to collect vinyl and CDs and toys, and now I collect children, so I have no more room for any of that other stuff.
2 children will do that. Do you have any pets?
Yeah.
You have pets and 2 kids?
Yeah.
Really? What kind of pets do you have?
Dog.
Okay.
A dog, 2 kids.
I just had my son. He's 2.5 months old, and we have a cat and a dog. And the cat is one of the biggest assholes ever. He's the worst pet. He's such an asshole. I love him, but no one would take him. Yeah. So I'm stuck with him. He's probably got a good decade left.
Oh no.
Life. My wife is over it. I'm like, he's staying. We're just gonna have to have a torn up furniture, and that's what he does. We can't have nice things until he dies.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, going back to the records for a second, is there any particular subgenre that you like to, or genre or anything that you like to listen to? Like I've been, for instance, collecting like different Southern rock stuff, and one of the things that I've talked to Pinkus about is at the Atlanta Rhythm section, and I've been getting some of those records. I know he loves that band.
Yeah.
And I gotta say,
our Marshall Tucker band he was talking about the other day.
I just got my first Marshall Tucker record as well, so I've been going there.
Right. Well, yeah. We listen to all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I just made up this playlist for us to listen to, like pre-show stuff, and I don't know. I try to put a good mix of old, new, weird stuff, blues stuff. I realized I didn't have any country on there.
Right.
Which we'd been listening to that Cocaine and Rhinestones podcast.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh shit, I don't really have, I mean, I've got tons of CDs and stuff like that, but I'm like, oh, I got to load this up with like Hank Williams and Buck Owens and stuff like that. I have on there.
Absolutely.
But, you know, since I've got iTunes, I can go listen to that stuff anytime.
Right. I hear you, man. Well, with one last question for you, I guess, are there any modern drummers or any modern bands in particular that you have really been enjoying listening to?
I like some of the new Ty Segall stuff.
Okay.
There's this band from here. They're from Long Island. Called the Lemon Twigs.
Really? I don't know them.
Yeah, there's these kids that fairly young brothers, and they both played drums and switch off playing guitar and singing, depending on which one wrote the song. The writer would play guitar and sing, and the other one would play drums, and they're both pretty damn good drummers.
Really?
Yeah. The younger brother's a little more flashier, kind of rock and roll, Keith Moon style. Okay. And even on stage, like when he plays guitar, he does lots of kicks and stuff like that. Yeah. He's kind of the rocker, but they're both really good drummers. Yeah. You know, and so I was impressed by that. And they play almost 70s style, you know, like you can tell they're into like Keith Moon and Roger Taylor, and their stuff's kind of sounds a little like Queen and Todd Rundgren and
all the good stuff.
Kind of Beatles, of course. Sure. But they're pretty good. You know? And I saw them live, and they're both really good drummers.
Right on. Yeah. I tell you what, it's funny you mentioned Keith Moon. I was kind of a latecomer when it came to The Who because of I guess I knew just certain albums, and when I started getting to the earlier stuff, when Keith wasn't even playing a hi-hat, he was just rides and drums and was just a madman, I decided, you know what, I think I need to bring more of that sort of electrifying and sort of random nature of what he played into my playing and be a little less predictable. So that's actually what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, a lot of people will say that he's sloppy and all over the place and can't keep time, but I mean, that crazy drumming made that band.
Absolutely. It was what charged it. It was like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah, and I like it because he is different and experimental and weird.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, when somebody says that they don't like his drumming, I'm just like, why?
Right.
Then you just don't like drums, I guess.
Right.
You know?
I hear you, man. Well, shit, Dale, I think that's about it, man. I really appreciate you sitting down and talking to me. It's been great. And as a guy that comes up constantly on these podcasts as a source of influence, and apparently a band that has influenced everybody under the sun, it was fucking great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you so much.
All right, Dale.
Right on. All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks to Dale for being an awesome guy and a real fun interview. Look out for the Melvins out on tour this summer, and we'll catch you on the next one. Which, by the way, I got Frank Gilchrist from Riot 5, David Delaney from Them Evils, Phil Barch of Dead Empires, Andrew Totolis of the Giraffes, and some more good stuff coming. So keep your eyes open. Out every Monday. We'll catch you on the next one. Crash, bang, boom.
Crowds go mad with joy.